Welcome back, LJL fans. Please excuse the graphics, a bit of emergency production today. We're back here before game 3. Pretty much most exciting game of the day. If you were a bit worried about those substitutions, this is going to be peak LJL. We have Crest Gaming Act not doing great right now. A bit of a slip of form from our early rise through the standings team. They suffered the first week, brought it back in a huge way, now on a down streak again. Unfortunately, not picking up a single win last week. The competition doesn't get any easier. They are up against a Rascal Jester side that has looked absolutely dominant. Haven't lost a game. I think it's 8 wins in a row, 9 wins in a row. My brain escapes me right now. But a huge turnaround from a Rascal Jester suffering in the early weeks. Melvin, we're going to come to you first. Are some of Rascal Jester's wins not real? Are they true?
All right, it's a conspiracy for one of the DFM wins. I'll say the first one, they hard fought and earned, definitely. But the second one, I'm putting that on the side. That's not a real win. You played against the subs before they even had time to warm up as well. As we just saw DFM with Utapon in the top lane. Still looks kind of scary, so we'll maybe see that again in playoffs, or most likely see it in playoffs, but I hope we won't be seeing the sub situation was what I was trying to allude to there, and then we can see if Rascal Jester fully deserves to be rank 2 or rank 3 against Sengoku next week.
All right, get well soon, Abby. We do miss you. J-Real, we're going to come over to you. Crest Gaming Act, it's the flip side. 0-3 last week, 4 loss streak right now. Do you think they're in trouble? Do you think they might bring it back today?
Yeah, to be honest, because they've kind of just Uno reversed themselves. I feel like they were playing so well. They had some really good early games. They were kind of storming through the season. They were picking up huge wins. The win against Burning Core was absolutely amazing. People were like, "Whoa, CGA, you're legit." And then it feels like recently it's just kind of what happened? Did you guys get found out? Was there just one way you play and then everyone just kind of sussed you out, or have you tried to swap too many things at one go? It just feels like they've kind of become a very different team to what they were before. And to be honest, I feel like today they have to bring back old CGA. They can't keep switching it up because Rascal Jester is not going to give them a break.
Talking of bringing back old CGA, you mentioned have they been found? Hybrid really struggling the last few games. Melvin, do you think he's going to have a good time up against our superstar 2v2 in Solemn Secret?
I am very worried for Hybrid coming into this one because while I think the player is very competent, they have not really expressed for me that they can play from behind. And Solemn Secret, in good form, one of the scariest bot lanes in the league. I would say on the right day, the scariest bot lane in the league. And it's something that we know for a fact that Secret will push those windows. Things like pulling out the set, the Alistair, these kind of champions that really pressure you if you are ever wavering on a decision. And I feel like that's the big issue for CGA. They've just not been decisive. They've not been themselves. That real killer force that we've seen throughout the split just hasn't been showing itself.
We're going to flip the script slightly. We're going to go over to the mid lane. We've seen Kaido struggle a few games, and that's been a consistent source of criticism against Crest Gaming Act in the wins, and particularly on the LeBlanc. Normally looks really good. But we go over to Jesters, and maybe we've seen something a bit better. That was going to be a question. I'm going to cut myself off. We've talked about how exciting this game is going to be. We've established some win conditions. Time to actually go see them realize. J-Real, Melvin, take it away as we go into the draft phase.
Thank you very much, Temporal. Yeah, more questions will come. We'll have the after game as well to break it all down. But in pick and bans, a lot of bans there from CGA going over to that mid lane. Obviously, the Karma could be support as well, but the Veigar and the Kaisa also banned out. I was going to talk about those ADCs in a little bit, but Rascal Jester is taking away the Greys and the LeBlanc.
Yeah, we see that Veigar one trick in recap has been removed. We'll have to find out what they want to opt towards instead. Ahri is obviously a very safe blind pick if they want to go down that route, but I feel like recap is best saved for counter. They have got such a flexible champion pool, as we are looking to get that standard Jinx opener. Nothing out of the ordinary, must be said, but it has been nerfed ever so slightly, getting a bit less range on those rocket launcher autos, and the mana is now fixed at 20, so you can't really be as reckless in the early game of clearing waves.
Yeah, and I really like this pick up there because I was going to talk about the Kaisar, saying okay, maybe we have the Jinx ban, maybe we get some Aphelios Kaisar or something like that, because both these ADCs have preferred picks that aren't necessarily just the Jinx. But obviously not going to see it today, as we do see the Volibear, another contested pick between these two junglers, so no Lolbear this time for CGA.
Which I think that when you have this really sick mid-jungle duo for facilitating, you need to get the carries around it. So the question is, with that knowledge, what is CGA going to pick up for it? I'm expecting we might see, for the third time running now, a Jinx Tahm Kench in the bot lane. Waiting to find out if they're actually just going to go for counters in main roles. That is a bit dangerous, as it means that just because of the way that the draft works out, if they do lock in mid here, Rascal Jester, they're going to get to pick, ban 2, and then pick again, so they can pinch a lot of champion pools away from CGA.
Ooh, and Kaito, they're going to look in the Syndra. As Tipperall kind of said, obviously, Kaito have been under a lot of speculation. Giving them the Syndra, their most played champion this season, I do think is pretty suitable, but obviously, there is that threat around the rest of the pick, but because they already locked in Ari, there is no counter available, as we're seeing. The Gnar being hovered, which obviously has been an LJL special.
Right. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's Ina's most played champion this split. It's Nap's joint most played top laner. It's a fine blind pick. Doesn't give anything away. I feel like you could have locked in the Aphelios there, is my biggest issue. So I'm very curious to see what Sol and Secret are saving for this last 2 rotations. Maybe we get something absolutely bonkers like a Kog'Maw Lulu, but we'll have to just wait that and leave it to speculation, as they do get rid of the expect Tahm Kench. I imagine it'll probably be a Thresh band paired with that. When you have double immobile carries that we see from CGA, those are very, very susceptible if you don't have one of those saviors in the support role.
Yeah, and I feel like Secret a little bit more adaptable than Nema. So in terms of the support pool, I do feel like they have that scope to really ban those out. But as you said, the ADC pool could be a little bit shaky. You know, yes, we have seen Lucian, we have seen Caitlyn from Seoul, but no Aphelios now. Are those champions going to be able to stand up to the Jinx?
It's tough to say with how Jinx has been toned back ever so slightly. It's one of those ones where matchups need relearning kind of territory. Obviously, it didn't really ruin Jinx overall. She's still one of the best ADCs, if not the best, currently in the game. So it is something that we do need to be careful of, as we will actually get an Akali ban. Instead, leaving that Thresh open might be Rascal Jester wanting to take it away themselves. But considering they've already committed to pretty heavy dive in the first 3 picks, I don't know if that would necessarily be the shout.
It does seem a little bit off kilter with the rest of the team, as we are going to see the Xayah band away. So again, ADC's the high target for CGA. And CGA, to be fair, I'm expecting some maybe engage. Obviously, Nautilus, Leona, main picks there for Nema. It does fit with the comp right now.
I'm just going to not leave it up to any hovers. We'll wait and see, because there's so much up in the air right now for Rascal Jester. And you need to be careful, because you are looking against 2 really good disengage tools between the Syndra and the Lee Sin. As we will get Renetta Glask locked in for the support role. Obviously, newest champion in the game. Not 100% sure what her favorite pairings are in the bottom lane, but overall, I like to think of her kind of like Zyra, because you like to harass in lane with those auto attack enhancements. You can really get some powerful trades going down. Now, expected response into a Zyra S champion is a hook support, because being able to ruin them in the lane phase and constantly aggress before they get to those first items is the way to go.
Yeah, and we talked about CGA a little bit, kind of how they were really dominant previously with those early games. Lee Sin, Nautilus going to be able to set that up if they get the Jinx ahead. That's absolutely huge. And I do agree with you, Renata is definitely going to suffer to those hooks, but at the same time, if they are able to play it safe, I do think Rascal Jester could be setting up pretty nicely, as we see an Aatrox there picked up for CGA in the top lane. So keeping that aggression going.
Okay, so we've currently got 1 really good kill tool in the Syndra, and then 2 resets in the Aatrox ult and the Jinx passive. I like that in concept, as we will actually get that Caitlyn snapped up by Sol that you were alluding to earlier. Okay, maybe that's an interaction. I'm seeing it now, because Renetta, instead of having her own kind of hook, she can reposition people, right? Caitlyn puts down traps, you could yeet people onto your own traps. That's the logic I'm seeing.
Whoa.
Whether that's 2-5 head or not, but I feel like that's the main reason that you would want this kind of duo. They both very good at harassing from range, so Nemo is going to need to play this lane phase near perfection if they are to survive.
Yeah, and also I do like the fact that the passive from Renata, kind of similar to Leona, but obviously just with auto attacks, does stack up. Caitlyn easily able to proc those, so that extra damage should be coming through frequently. But it's still a little bit question mark for me, you know, because I do think that there is a world where Jinx kind of gets ahead and then stays ahead. I'm a little bit more worried about that mid-game, late-game team fighting from then in terms of the Caitlyn and Renata. but I'm very excited to see the Renata. Like, I'm not sure if it is the first one, but I think it might be the first one in the LJL.
It's my first cast. I'm pretty sure we have seen it in the LJL before, but this is my first cast of a Renata. This champion is wholly new to me and very exciting because she offers so many different ways to play the game, and I feel like when you tunnel vision onto objectives, one of the best champions you can imagine with that ultimate to just turn you against it, completely flip it on its head. And I'm very excited to see a player as smart as Secret piloting this one to see what kind of avenues they go. Because you've got the setup CC with Gnar, with Volibear, with Ahri. Now, following that up with a Renata, I could see the angle that we've got from the Rascal Jester plan this time around.
No, I fully agree. I think that I was going to say this as well. Like, hostile takeover, it's very slow. You know, it comes through like a slow mist. You know, it's not a quick ultimate, and I do agree they need that setup CC. So I do like that Gnar has been picked up there, can obviously set themselves up with that previous CC, obviously the Volibear as well, the charm from Ahri. So they have ways to lock them into that hostile takeover to actually get it to work. I will say it does seem a little bit underwhelming at the start. It's like 1.5 seconds on the first level, so it is a little bit short, but those later, mid-game, late-game ults could be game-changing.
And one thing to note that we have been told by our wonderful production is that Renata has been played once, and it was a loss by Reiner into a Nautilus is the most important part for me right there. So we'll have to see if Secret can pilot this lane phase a bit better off. And the main point for me is always the level 1. When you have Enchanter supports, and I'm going to put Renata in that basket, she has got the shielding with that E. So when you have these range supports, these Enchanters, you need to be careful in the first 2 levels. If you are not, somebody like Nautilus can cheese you in a bush. They've actually got the Glacial Augment this time, so it's very, very difficult for this Renata to run away. No mobility in the kit at all. If they are caught out, they should die. And with the Flame Chompers from Hybrid, level 1 kind of 2 territory, there is a really, like, not real, but there is a very significant chance that we see Rascal Jester's bot lane get blown open, and then this game starts to fall apart. We need to find out what's going to happen as we kick off.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a perfect time to talk about win cons as well. Obviously, we do see the Lee Sin in the top side. Volibear going to start on the top side as well, so our jungler's going to be pathing it down. But win conditions, obviously an important part of League of Legends, unless you are maybe in bronze, in which case there is no such thing. But it's a sentiment where I do feel like CGA kind of historically in this season have played off of early wins and basically just snowballing out their lead. And I do think that the same is kind of true with their comp this game. We can see Blitzcrank saying that they would win in the later stages, but just based on the team fighting prowess of Rascal Jesters, I feel like that's not necessarily a feasible option.
Not consistent option, I think, is the caveat I'm going to put on that one, because you do have a Jinx and you have a Syndra, which as you scale later on, do a lot of work. And against a Volibear and a Gnar in particular, they do not have as much prevalence in the late game. While Aatrox also falls off, considering you've got really good setup tools by the rest of your squatters. This is one hell of a ward by Soul, actually. Getting that push down on the bottom wave with perfect CS, they are going to be able to get that ward onto the Krugs. They know for a fact when Kassin starts that, and it gives Hachimecha bit of extra knowledge. They aren't going to do anything with it for the moment, not wanting to show themselves mid lane just yet, starting without a leash themselves. While they do have a ward for CJ on the enemy Raptors, I still don't think they completely know where the bear is hiding.
Yeah, and obviously the bear keeping himself in the woods, it's always a good time. You know, you don't want to be showing it too early. I imagine that there's also a bit of an angle for Rascal Jesters to maybe play around mid lane. Obviously, we talked so much about how important this bot lane is, but I also think if Recap can get unlocked and they can start roaming with that Ahri, it can really cause chaos around the map. And it's something I would kind of like to see from Rascal Jesters.
Absolutely. I think post 6, we should be expecting Recap to be making their way down bot lane. One of the things that has brought Volibear back into the meta recently is their ability to turn off towers. Yes, it's still very broken. It was never changed. And the fact that they can facilitate dives with people like the Ahri, insanity. It's completely unplayable for people like the Nautilus, who don't have any tools to protect themselves. It's all about aggression. As now, speaking of aggression, Hachimecha has made their way back to mid.
Oh, this could be a bit of a rough time for Kaito. Going to get the stun onto the Ahri. That's quite a bit of damage onto Recap already, but there's the stun coming through. The charm link up, and it's all too easy for Rascal Jesters. Hachimecha picking up the first blood in the mid lane.
Perfectly timed, and they're going to be able to push out this mid wave. Kassin, they're going to fish for a Q right here. They do have enough damage to kill Recap, but I fear that it would be a trade of their own life as they recognize that themselves. Going to back off and just take the Scuttle Crab. Nicely played by Hatchmetcher. One of the things that this Volibear does so well is that point and click CC. It was a great path to come in, and Kaito, I think they committed to going for the kill, and then when they didn't have enough damage to finish them off, they decided to save their own flash. It's very dangerous to burn flash against a Volibear, because if you don't survive, then they can repeat gank, especially with a facilitator like Ari. You could have just seen that happening again post 6, so they will at least have something to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, and obviously Syndra being pretty immobile herself. The fact that the Scout of the Week was used obviously gave Volibear just a complete in. As on this bot lane, we are seeing that poke come out from the Caitlyn and Secret. Renata putting in a lot of work, and Nemo hasn't really been able to find any hooks just of yet.
And I'm going to say this is good, but it's also a necessity, right? You don't pick Caitlyn and then have her as weak side. You need to bring attention to this bot lane, and you need to make sure that they are hitting tower plates, getting that priority for dragons, and using that. Because if you're not, the champion does start to fall off. With Gale Force and Collector, Caitlyn has managed to find herself a way to survive in the mid game and not have that notorious slump that the champion has always suffered from. But when you're against the Jinx, anytime you are losing in tempo, you are potentially asking for a comeback. So that is something that we need to keep our eye on and see if Rascal Jester can keep their foot on the pedal throughout this entire early game.
Yeah, talking about foot on the pedal, Hino has been having a pretty good time in this top lane, building a CS lead already, pushing in Nap pretty consistently. And to be honest, I don't imagine any junglers are going to be wandering up there anytime soon, as we do have Dragon on the map. Lee Sin also now on the Krugs, but it looks like it will be a pretty easy take for Rascal Jesters.
Should be the 3-1. The main question for me is going to be when it comes to that 8-minute mark, we see 2 away when the Rift Herald spawns. Who's rotating for it? We've seen in both games so far there have been big rotation plays, but the team that has got there first has been rewarded. Right now, I don't think that you really want to be doing... Oh, hold on.
Oh, hook there from Nema. It is going to be a bit of damage, but a lot traded back there from Soul and Secret. But now Hybrid stepping forward. Lee Sin is there as well. Kassin not going to be able to land the Q. And now Volibear is going to turn this one around, but they have to keep their distance. Still a lot of damage from CGS. Another hook lands, and Hatchemetra is going to go low, but he gets the kill. He picks up 1, but it's going to be 2 over to CGA as Kassin finds the Caitlyn. And all in all, it looked a bit scrappy, but CJ come away with the slight advantage.
I think they're going to be very pleased with that one. Not only does it disrupt the tempo on the bottom side, it means that now Hybrid gets to push in the wave base and get a comfortable reset off. As we take a look coming back onto the map, that's going to be both junglers heading up to top side. And this was just Kassin lurking. They know for a fact that this bot lane is where plays to be made. Great hook by Nemo, and the Glacial Path actually doing so much work, stopping Solid Secret being able to just rotate out. Yeah, Kassin gets a surprise bear in the bush, but it doesn't matter too much because Hatchemetra, at the end of the day, you're still having to face down 3 people. Nemo trading their life very willingly here. You have the Jinx. It's always worth if you can trade 1 for 1 because you can facilitate those chase down kills. Kaito, though, ahead of schedule. Well played by the entire CGA squad.
Yeah, really well played by them. And obviously, Caitlyn picking up the kill is pretty nice for Rascal Jesters, coming out of it. If it had gone to Volibear, maybe you'd be a little bit more upset about it. But the your ADC actually did get it, means they're not going to be losing as much as they would if it was given over to the jungler. But still, really big plays. And as we saw, Jinx picking up the kill. We already talked about how Jinx, if they do get ahead of this Caitlyn, is going to be a huge problem.
And on the subject of getting ahead for the ADCs, we could see the race for the presumed Gale Force. I doubt either bot lane will be going for Kraken Slayer this game because you do not have those protector supports like the Tahm Kench to really give you that, well, get out of jail free card for all intents and purposes. So waiting to see whoever can get that first because it offers you insane kill threat in the 1v1 if the ADCs are ever left alone due to support roams. And it lets you actually survive when your junglers are making plays elsewhere.
No, it does indeed. As Hybrid started to get ever so slightly ahead, obviously this wave will basically be able to catch so up, but you do have to kind of worry a little bit if you're Rascal Jesters because CGA managing to get this Jinx slightly ahead, obviously Hybrid being the notorious carry for them, it's pretty comfortable, at the moment.
And Jinx has always been a historic counter to the Caitlyn because they can match the range so they don't get bullied out like things like the Vayne of past would. And overall in team fights, they'll have way more of an impact. So it's just about a play style, as we do see. CGA are the ones initiating this Herald. They have rotated everybody, bar Hybrid up. I love this. All you have to do is waste time. If you can get this objective to reset, then you are in a winning play right here.
Oh, but Rascal Jesters have accounted with bringing everyone up. Amelia Kane a little bit far away, so Soul won't be there, but there we go. It's going to be an easy take for Rascal Jesters. You said the first team to rotate normally gets rewarded. Rascal Jesters said, you know what, we don't like that script. We're going to take it our way. But Hybrid does pick up 2 tower plates in the bot lane, so overall, definitely a nice bit of fun lane gold over to them, but that Rift Herald could really change the tempo for Rascal Jesters.
And I'm going to be sitting here on the edge of my seat waiting for Hybrid to base. I need to know if they can afford the Gale Force off of that, because if they do, then they will actually be ahead of tempo above the Caitlyn, and that is the critical factor. You see right now, because of the XP, they're actually a level up right now. They didn't have their support wound, so they got all the minions, and Soul was mid-rotation, so they got absolutely nothing. Hybrid is going to back off here. We do have the jungle support duo currently paired up around there, but it looks like Nemo is just going to be sent off on a warding mission. There's not much for you to do when your ADC backs like this, especially as the Nautilus. You're way too susceptible to stand in lane. They're going to vibe out, maybe head to mid, see if they can clear out a control ward or two.
Yeah, no, I like that we just panned up to the top lane, and it's just been one of the quietest top lanes I feel like I've seen in a long time. It's just been a farm city, and to be fair, I can't really blame it. Neither of them are going to be gaining massive by trying to make huge plays, and obviously there's no reason for the jungler to go up to the top side at the moment. So all in all, it's been pretty bot lane focused, and I feel like if you're CGA, we talked about them kind of getting back into style. I think this is definitely a better look from them so far into this game.
And I'm seeing now, we've got both ADC Mythics completed, but it's actually a Kraken Slayer for Hybrid, which is saying that they are completely abandoning the idea of being left alone. They are going to be the focal point for this team, as you could see in the comp, but it means that now CGA need to back that up with members protecting them, because if Hybrid is ever out of position, well, I mean, the cleanse is great. That'll save you from the Renata ultimate and some of the, well, not necessarily point-and-click CC, but the entire top-side CC that Rascal Jester has in tow. But you need to have the peel, and your comp has it not necessarily in spades. You got the ultimate Elise in, and you got the Scatter the Weak from Syndra. It's all a lot of conditional stuff that requires Hybrid to be positioning nigh perfectly if they want to actually make use of this mythic.
Yeah, and it previously looked like CJ were going to contest this. We did see Nap starting to walk down, but then the base back from Kassin feels like they're not going to go for this one, but you never know. They are still lurking. Hybrid ready to pounce on this one with Nemo, as they are going to be dragged together. A bit of damage there from Soul will land. As we might start getting some Dragon contention, as Kassin is making their way down to the bot lane. Look there from Nema is going to land. There's the big knock up and problems for Secret, but it's not going to be over just yet. As now Hachimecha finding Kassin. That's a lot of damage in the Gale Force. So we're going to pick up that first kill. Now it could be more. Hybrid on the run, just about to get away. Nema, they're going to be taken down as here comes Kaito. Picks up one back, but it's 3 down already. It should be a simple dragon for Rascal Jesters.
Very confident by Soul right there, going in and getting the return kill. This will give them the massive numbers advantage. Don't think there's much Kaito can really do to dissuade this right here. Recap still has the ultimate. I don't think they're exactly going to be threatening kills, but if they chunk out enough plates and leave it in a position where Soul can finish it off later, that's really all you want from this Herald.
Ever so slightly wide. They should be able to pick up 3 plates here, as we are going to go back to the replay.
Well, that means he's fine, you hope.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No!
Okay, well, we all saw that in the minicam, but back to the actual replay. Not a lot ends up happening from the initial force right here from CGA, and then Hachimecha getting the wombo smackdown onto the Lee Sin. It's nothing but calculate, and watch this from Soul again. It's so good. The flash into max range Q picks up their lane partner as the dragon goes down, but kills returned.
Nemokasin now going aggressive onto Soul. Hybrid making movements over, but a good jump over the wall gets him to safety, and that's 1 kill. Ari finding the damage. Kassin now trying to make out, but Hybrid going to go down as well. Kassin, the ace in the whole fight. It's target, and another big win for Rascal Jesters. This is not what you wanted to see if you're a CGA fan.
All right, Soul's pretty damn good at the Caitlyn, and they're going to be rewarded with this bot lane tower. Everybody's slain around them. As now, Kaito not even able to get plates in the mid lane. This is so impactful. We're talking about how with Caitlyn, you want to win lane, rotate them around the map, and collect towers. They haven't really got to do that. Yeah, okay, we're going to get to see it. We saw it in the side cam. We knew. Don't you worry, as this was not great for Secret. Not part of the calculated plan, I imagine. But to bring it back to, okay, hold on. This play kept going, didn't it? Yeah, this is just elongated. I don't know what happened here. This part I definitely didn't see. Oh. Yeah, okay, this was the start of the initial play. Keep your eye on, I believe it's Hybrid, because Sol is going to bounce themselves over the wall, and they put down a trap in the bush that, as you see, Hybrid doesn't see because of the Volibear character model, and that's what pops this whole thing off, turning into a massively RJ favored play.
It's 400 IQ. That was mad. That was actually insane trap placement there, and well, Caitlyn, that trap queen. So I can't say anything more, anything less. But Rascal Jester is putting themselves very far ahead, and they're kind of proving those haters that these aren't just fake wins. You know, they're not 9 win streaking for no reason.
No, they are damn good, and while they aren't top dogs, if DFM ever do falter, they will be right behind them, ready to take it away. This is a good statement game, but it's not over yet. At the end of the day, we've talked about how conditional they are with this bot lane of being ahead, and in recent plays, they've managed a snowball, but I wouldn't say that was necessarily just off of the raw laning on its own.
Yeah, no, definitely some really good roams there from Hatchmetcher and Recappers. They have built a 3k gold lead at the moment as Nappen, going to have a bit of a trade. But next dragon does feel pretty impactful. As actually Sol going to go pretty low, but there is the bailout. It's not going to keep them alive though, as you have to pick up a kill for that one.
As a big shutdown going over to Kaito, who I would say is the scariest member of CGA, because the Syndra being able to initiate the fights, if they do get a kill, who survives on your bot side for Rascal Jester? Yeah, you could get bailed out, but if you're not in a situation to take advantage of that Renato ability, then you just die. There's absolutely nothing there. Your health bar will not be coming back from that one, as Nemo looking aggressive on the mid lane. It is just the jungle support, as Kassin will be securing this Herald. I expect them to use it on the mid lane to try and crack open the map, but maybe they'll surprise.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, mid lane tower is the number one. Of all our towers, it is definitely the MVP. It's worth opening it up because it definitely gives you more control around that jungle as well. And considering that we do know about CJ trying to pick up those early wins, it definitely goes for their cause. And obviously, Lee Sin loves being able to sneak around in those jungles and really catch people off guard. So maybe they'll be able to open that. But Recap talking about Sneaky goes in on the back line here. There is going to be the ultimate from Renata, but it's not going to be enough damage just yet from Sol as TPs do come through. Nap taking a bit of damage on the front of it. As Kaito charmed up, isn't able to dish out enough to pick up Recap either, as the rocket to the left. And Sol going to go super low, but not going to go down. A lot of low health bars, but not a lot of kills in this trade.
But with all the chunks going down, they might as well be kills just for the timing on the map. Oh, great Q by Kassin, gonna force that flash out of secret. It won't stop a second recall, but this will definitely kill the mid tower and likely gets a second charge.
Going to have to back away. It is going to be close to Rage, as we see Hatchmetcher going to have to use the Storm to get out safely. Not going to go Mega, but not going to really be able to do much, as you said, the second charge does come through. They're going to be able to pick up this tier 2 tower as well. And that is quite a bit of gold going back over to them, now taking it to a 1k gold difference. And
they're going to be able to get the resets off because it's a Hextech Rift, so they could use that gate, get back in position, and considering they just saw Hatchmetcher burn ultimate as well, there's no guaranteed way for the Volibear to get past the Dragon's Rage now. You can always just boot the bear out and you will be able to secure the dragon for yourself. Sin deciding they're not going to base just yet. They have time with the gate. It will be late, but they are going to stick around as the rest of the team will arrive. Rascal Jester not in a position to burst this out. They may actually look to prioritize the mid lane tower, but I feel like that would be a mistake. You want to get to the Sol point, because once you're there, all of the plays from the enemy become oh no's.
Oh, there's the insect kick. Secret in big trouble, going to bail themselves out, but not going to really be able to do much with that. Goes down immediately. As Eno now taking so much damage. It's just about able to survive. Going to go Mega up pretty soon. Could maybe get an impactful ultimate, but CJ definitely having control over this dragon.
Very well played by Kassin. They are having a killer game right now, and throughout the entire split, when CGA have been having good games, it's always been when Kassin is performing. They are kind of the litmus test for this squad, and we are seeing right now that this is CGA in damn good form. They are looking to take Rascal Jester off of that 9-win streak.
Yeah, no better performance to have to prove that CGA are not ready to go back to the bottom of the table, and they are ready to compete, because they are 1 win behind Burning Core. So right now they are sitting in 5th place. But I want to ask you an important question. Dragon, obviously people say it's random. Do you think that Hextech Drake becomes more likely due to the number of Zorn or Arcane champions on your team?
I wondered where on earth you were going with that, but maybe. There is that kind of 9-head logic, because there were all those old interactions with, I know I talked about earlier, but like the Zyra getting extra damage from the Leona because it was the sun and whatnot, as this is just so good by Kassin. Secret being very greedy with that push forward and using the Q to skedaddle out of there. Clean, what you need to be doing though, because when you have these kind of supports that don't have a way to protect themselves, this is the optimal time to be fishing for those kind of plays.
Oh, and this is the kind of play that we want to see from Rascal Jester. The tower dive coming in. Nema able to get away for now, but a lot of damage is going to go down from the Ari. As we see, hostile takeover is going to push Kassin away, but not close enough to their ally to get up in any sort of friendly fire. And Rascal Jester is taking the tier 1. Is going to be pretty good for them, but they definitely could have maybe got more.
And I'm starting to feel like this Renata Glass plus Caitlyn combo isn't really all that. We haven't seen it get a lot done this game, and it was, mind you, the last 2 picks for Rascal Jester. They saved it for second rotation, saying we're okay to suffer bans because we've got this in the bag. And they didn't get the first Blood Tower immediately, right? They weren't pressuring it before Rift Heralds were chucked down and whatnot. They needed help to get it done. They weren't rotating to other lanes and dominating turrets that way. There's still the top lane tier 1 up. When you have a Caitlyn on your team, that feels like a sin against nature to some degree. And overall, if we take a look at the gold, it's naive, and Dragons, naive. I feel like Rascal Jester may be potentially heading to a position that they aren't going to be very comfortable with, and they're going to have to outperform mechanically if they want to take this game.
Ooh, talking about uncomfortable though, Nap is not in a nice scenario. Going to have to use the World Ender, will flash as well. The Ace and Hole not going to do enough damage. To be fair, I would have been super shocked if he died there. But forcing them away, they are going to be able to get some pressure onto that tier 2 top as well. As recap, using the Hex Gate, it's going to go straight past Kassin.
Yeah,
and now
I'm leaving.
TPing out of this one. He's going to be able to get away, but a little bit of a strange play there.
It's not often that you get to see Hexgate interactions like that, but what they've changed recently was now you can see where you are as you're flying through the Hexgate, so they just see Kassin like crawling underground. There's no way for the Lee Sin to interact, but knowing that they've just jumped into no man's land, that was why they had the instant TP out. Has a shutdown on their head. I'm gonna say it is a waste of the TP, not because obviously it was the right decision if they wanted to not die, otherwise they were going to have to, well, look for a super outplay. But bit greedy from Rascal Jester. We're starting to see the team potentially falter a little bit, not having that kind of organized series of play that we really like from this squad. With the tier 1s now all down, winning with Caitlyn becomes a matter of managing objectives, getting there first, setting up those traps, and making it impossible to approach. But we saw the last time the Dragon spawned, Secret ended up getting booted out of this game by Kassin. We really do need to see a lot more of a concerted effort from the whole Rascal Jester squad to set up vision and avoid that happening again.
Yeah, I do agree. And I think this next Dragon is going to be quite a big tell, or at least the next team fight. It might be around this Baron, to be fair, as people are starting to mobilize. But around the next Dragon is where I imagine it will be. I think it's a big tell as to where the sides are, because we've talked about how CGA do have that late game potential with the Jinx, with the Syndra, and how we need to keep that Caitlyn ahead. And obviously, if they aren't able to win this next team fight, maybe it starts to become all CGA. But right now, everyone just kind of hovering around this topside river.
So actually investing the traps into here, so it is making it look like a full-on Baron setup. They've got the Scuttle Crab now, so you will see if CGA decide to flip objectives. I feel like that was the main purpose. They just wanted to get the crab. They have massive vision down on that side of the map. So if the events of this play go poorly for them, they can just pivot and go Baron. Looks like they will be able to secure the Dragon, or at very least secure the vision around the Dragon. They've got the setup, I know, is nearly at Mega. Everything is coming up Rascal Jester. If this doesn't go well, then I feel like the game is going to slip out of their hands.
Yeah, I do agree with you there as Nap looking for maybe a bit of CC onto Eno, but not going to be able to land it just yet. And the teams are starting to posture. This is the classic 5 versus 5. Bit of almost J-Ram action, but they're not going to leave that for too long as they are now starting to move towards this Dragon.
Have to go quick though. Ino is about to go back to Mininar. Slightly off on that window actually. Lee Sin Q is down. They can jump in the pit. Keep your eye on the smite.
Not landing it just yet, and it's going to be a pretty easy take for Rascal Jester, but there's the flash hook, not going to land though, and gets dragged back. Could be a dangerous time for Nemo, going to be taken out immediately. Scout the Weak does land onto Eno, and Hatchmetra going to have to jump over the wall. Same with the Gnar, but they get away safely, no loss from side of Rascal Jesters and picking up the third Drake.
That was a play by Nemo, a maneuver, one might say. Not an optimal maneuver, mind you, but That is still going to be Rascal Jester keeping themselves not only in the game, but also keeping confidence on their favor. Because if that had gone poorly, if Nemo had managed to hit a hook onto somebody significant, then we could see a very different series of play. Hybrid farming up a Storm. They are heading towards what I assume to be the Infinity Edge, coming up very soon. Once they have that, plus the 2 items down for Kaito, these fights look very, very different because the Volibear, they're tanky. Yeah, they got the Force of Nature. They're good. I know, though, no MR in sight. This is going to be a lot of damage coming out from Kaito. If they ever catch out a mini Nart, then there is the potential for really only Hatchemecha to be safe.
Yeah, indeed. And I will say, I'm a little bit surprised. I feel like CJ kind of played really hesitant. Like, I'm shocked
You're
that they
calling
didn't
the
just kind
flash
of
hook hesitant.
Well,
Hold on a
it
minute.
was though, but like pre-dragon, they weren't really going in for the play.
I
They,
agree.
they
It
were
was
kind of
just
just
funny.
watching them take the dragon, and then they were like, "Okay, dragon's gone. Now let's go all in." I feel like maybe they missed their window a little bit, you know. But we'll see if they maybe take this one again. Traps have gone down. They are setting up. Nemo going to go over with the Hex Flash, but they are going to walk away. RJ, as Hatchemecha now in a pretty rough situation. Probably going to have to flash out of here. Doesn't have ult just yet, but there we go. Going to get it back up and is able to just leap over the wall.
I think I'm going to change phrasing on that and say it was a desperation hook, is how it felt, which isn't really the perspective you want to be going against. I mean, Hextech Soul, as far as it goes, I think it's widely considered now to be the best soul over what was Mountain for the longest time, where it just provides so much utility, the slows. And something I do want to mention is that we have got Recap actually going for that Everfrost Horizon focus build. So combining that with the potential slows that you could get from Hextech just means that if they choose for a target to die, that person will almost definitely be getting CC'd, and provided it's not hybrid with the cleanse, that probably means they die with the rest of the DPS that Rascal Jester can put down onto a single target. But that's the issue. It's all single target for the majority of what RJ has.
But I will say, I feel like this soul is so good as well because it gives you that attack speed, it gives you that ability haste as well. It just does a lot, you know. It feels like they've kind of said, what do we want this next dragon to do? Let's do a bit of everything, you know. And obviously with Caitlyn, with the Nardos auto attackers, it is going to be pretty nice to get that attack speed.
You have now CGA contesting for vision around this pit, but Kassin, that was aggressive.
Gonna get stunned up here, able to flash away. It's so in a really rough situation. Gonna be able to get out of that one with the flash, as you know, now in trouble, but able to walk away. Nap did go aggressive with the World Ender, not able to find a target just yet, as now it's on to Hatchemecha, who is gonna go golden, but I don't know if he's gonna come out of this in first place. He gets stunned up, and there's Lee Sin going into the backline looking for the, but the damage is too high from Soul, and they do turn that into a 1-0 so far on the trade, and it looks rough for Rascal Jesters, but they do come out on top.
I'm gonna ask again, why? That was such a fine play from CGA overall up until the last minute. Soul going forward, very aggressive, showing the power of that Gale Force.
But they're going pretty low now. They're blocking, so we'll be able to keep them alive, but chunked out to half as well. It's potentially a play where Rascal can just turn this into a Baron. They've already taken down the Lee Sin. They've got low health bars on the support on mid. They definitely have control over the map.
They've got vision now onto the top side. This is just a run back of 5 minutes ago where they were posturing around the Baron. They put all of their vision down there and said, "Aye, there is no way you are flipping this objective on us. If you seem to go over there, we are turning it." And I don't know what Kassim was doing here. They jump over aggressively, I think hoping that it's just Secret seeing over the wall. Yeah, very nicely done by Nap and Hybrid to chunk Soul out here, but they're going to go off to No Man's Land and heal off of those Raptors. And just keep your eye on Kassin again. Amazing stuff by Nemo on this part of the engage, but I don't know why they decide to go further. It was okay. They got posture around the Baron, and then they just take this, my mind's telling me no hook, Q even, into the backline and just dies. So CGA getting almost all the way to perfection and then faltering at the last second. I feel like I'm saying the same thing I did as last game for Burning Core.
Yeah, the Leaf Syndrome, a little bit too strong there. You know, you don't have to take all the cues that you land, but sometimes it is hard to avoid. As right now, CGA setting up in a death rush. They are setting themselves ready for this Drake, and they have got position for it. So it is going to be a little bit more difficult for Rascal Jester to get into this one. But there's the hook there onto Recap, but a good Zhonya's is going to keep them alive as now they're going to be stepping forward. Nemo going to be the target first. Going to go pretty low and already taken down now onto the backline. Hybrid able to cut this one out, but Kaito going to be the next down. Nab trying to survive with the World Ender, but there's the Nar throwing him back into the team. That's going to be the third kill. It's Ari on the backline almost finding the damage. There is a little bit more big plays from Recap. Finds the last two. That's the Ace. That's the Dragon. That's the Soul. And Rascal Jester is claiming control over this game.
Don't need a recap of that one because it was domination by Rascal Jester. They're going to walk their way over to this Baron, pushing the side lane as well. Complete dominance. And this is what we wanted from the squad. They have looked so good in their past games, and let's see how they do it again. Recap, actually the one getting caught out at the beginning of this play. But keep your eyes on the rest of the Rascal Jester squad because Nemo gets abandoned by his team here. They get turned around by the Renata ultimate, and while it doesn't end up doing anything with hurting their team, it's a 4 versus 5 advantage, and Hatchamecha survives on a sliver of HP, giving Recap all they needed to reset spaghetti through the enemy team.
Yeah, and resets is the name of the game, and it was just a very, very clean fight from Rascal Jesters. You know, I will say the Renata ult has felt really underwhelming in terms of what the Renata ult is supposed to do, but it does feel like a nice CC. You know, like people don't attack you at least while they're in it, but it definitely feels like it's not necessarily hitting the mark that I think Riot kind of pitched it for.
The way that I was trying to look at it is that I was thinking, wow, okay, so here's the 5-head. You're against a Nautilus, so provided Nautilus has their Glacial Augment procced, surely that means if they get Renata ulted, they're going to auto-attack an ally, CC them, Glacial their own team. That's so 5-head, it's brilliant. I don't know if that's strictly how it works, but they'll definitely do the CC part of it. Oddly enough, I've been tracking it every fight. We've not seen Nemo get an auto off in a Renata ult just yet. At the end of the day, it feels like some kind of glorified shockwave at this point.
Yeah, and to be fair, I like CJ abandoning Nemo. Maybe that was because of that play. Like they didn't want to get locked down, which is completely fair. But yeah, Renata, it's not really been able to do what I feel like everyone feared. You know, I remember when Renata was first announced, everyone was just like, "Oh my days, Riot, please!" But it's definitely a little bit more underwhelming than I think we've seen. But it wasn't necessarily in that fight for them to take it, and some really, really nice play there from Rascal Jesters. And we talked about their team fighting, you know, being very strong, and they've kept themselves ahead, so they're keeping to the win con. But is there a way back for this side of CGA?
Bounties are enabled, right? And while we do have Rascal Jester in a dominant spot with both the Hextech Soul in pocket and the Baron buff, the thing is, they are now on the temporary clock. It's not a permanent one, but they have to try and break open base, and they have to get a lot done with these double objectives, because if they don't, then there's always the worry of an Elder flip, right? And when you have Elise in on the enemy team, and your Volibear, while pretty good at secure objectives, isn't the most consistent in the world, it's something that you really do need to be careful of. So you see that Baron buff timer in the top right of your screen. Keep your eyes on that, because as soon as that hits 0, Rascal Jester are in not a woeful position, but they're in the position where CJ can look to catch the throw.
Yeah, and as taught by my parents from a very young age, you got to respect your elders. You know, you got to respect that buff. It comes through very strong. And League of Legends knew. You know, they knew about that. They were like, Elder Dragon has to come through to the game. And it's definitely a win con. Obviously, if you've ever played League of Legends and you've got to 35 minutes probably in most people's games, you've seen what the buff does. And CJ, we talked about how their late game prowess does come through. Obviously, a Jinx with Elder buff is just kind of the thing of nightmares. But I think it all starts with that Baron, as you said. If they can maybe dissuade Rascal Jester from taking it early, or if they can potentially steal it themselves, they can definitely bring themselves back into the game. But I don't know why I'm saying that. Like, they haven't already taken the Baron.
Oh, yeah, well, that's fine, because the Baron is still 2 minutes left. You know, it's fine. Don't worry, because this is just going to be the Rascal Jester show. They should be able to cleanly open up this part of the base. The question is, will they be able to walk forward far enough to get the inhib? Because you are in a 5 versus 4. You see, I know on the side right there, has the Mega not about to... Jesus, Hybrid just got half-barred by an auto.
That is a lot of damage, you know. We've seen emotional damages. I mean, recently that is just physical damage. No joke about that one. As right now they're just going to go for this inhib. It seems pretty easy. The range that they have on their team is really holding back CGA, and Hybrid having to go onto that mid side to defend just wasn't there to help out the team. And they're just going to rotate one tower at a time. Now onto the mid lane, going to just do the exact same rinse and repeat. And it does feel like CGA kind of need to either pull the trigger or they are going to lose a second inhib.
Right now, they got the setup over the wall. Recap has the ultimate, the Everfrost, and the Zhonya's available. So if they see an angle, I feel like that's going to be the main facilitator for Rascal Jester. They're actually being very conservative here. They're waiting for the minion wave. Actually, no, it's the CGA back off. That's what they were looking for. As soon as they weren't standing there using their bodies to protect that inhib, Nope, it is gone. It will be the reset, and it looks like going to be coming back and sieging up that bot lane to try and get the 3-peat.
Yeah, we haven't talked about money recently. Obviously, everyone knows the song, or most people know the song, More Money, More Problems. Not the same in League of Legends. You know, more money, definitely a better time. And 10k ahead for Rascal Jesters, even though it's late in the game, still very significant.
Yeah, as far as it goes, keeping time in this game is going to be important, and that's why the stopwatches are one of the main benefits of that more money. You have 3 of them now for Rascal Jester. Again, I feel like I'm trying to think of a quirky way to say it, but you got the top, mid, and the support. The 3 prongs of the map. I don't know. There's something there. I can't think of anything clever. As it will just be posturing for the Elder. They got a pretty decent Baron power play, but all they realistically need to do for RJ is just let the super minions do their work on the top side, siege up the bottom lane. You have a Caitlyn, you have the Renata who can, while not necessarily get a lot done with the ultimate, you can zone a treat because it's so slow. Kind of like Maokai ultimate, where you could just have to avoid it, right? You see it coming, you have time to get out of the way, but it means that you can buy so much space to secure a tower for free.
Yeah, Maokai has really dipped from League of Legends, but maybe we'll see one coming back. But yeah, slow ultimate. It's not the best for catching up people quickly, but obviously, as we said, the setup from Nart is there, as she said, is on the flank, but running the wrong way. Where are you going, Nap?
So generously put. But they, as soon as the TP is noticed by Rascal Jester, they all turn. This is exactly what you should do. They just force the Aatrox to back off, because if you stick around there and you do get found out, you are dead. They have the Ahri. They can chase you down. You will not escape. And it means that then the CGA rest of the team will be standing there in a 4v5 defending base. So right decision, just a good fishing out of the play by RJ. I know, got the Mega coming up, got the Flash. I feel like we're expecting Wombo combo soon.
Well, they need to sort out the base before any Wombo combos can even be thought about, as the Super Minions dropping one of the Nexus Towers to half HP. This should open up a little bit of time for our Jesters to push in this bot lane tower and maybe get close to claiming that 3rd and final inhib.
Oh, every auto from this Caitlyn does so much to the turret. That was just one, as now the Force goes in.
We're going to see the depth charge already onto Soul. They were able to back
the other
away.
side, the base.
Here goes Kassin looking to go aggressive. Actually, still staying alive. The Jinx are going to be able to find that. Gets excited. Kassin still in the fight. They're going to look for the second on Secret. But as she said, the base is being taken down. Recap and Eno just trying to finish this one off. A couple more autos might do it, but they're not going to be able to do it. A big stop there from the Syndra. But on the flip side, Soul and Secret still alive. 2v2. Can they get this one through?
It's going to be a members advantage for CGA, but they need time to go back to base and heal. Soul should be able to finish off this turret here. All the abilities down from Kaito. Oh, it's on a sliver. Q goes wide, but the Hex Gate Secret is in. Well, actually, they pivot over to Soul. Will they be able to outplay this?
Oh, good dodge there. And another one going through, but it's not going to be enough. Nap slams down the sword and picks up the Caitlyn. And Elder is on the map. Is this CGA's moment to steal the game?
No.
Yes.
It's not. I have to stop there because there's 2 TPs for Rascal Jester. So you cannot commit members to going to this dragon right now. And it's unfortunate because that was the one window you're going to get. Now, it is still only 2 waves of supers, but let's take a look at how that fight actually kicked off, because it was just Ino and Recap playing a completely different game to the rest of the squad. They're just trying to control damage, keep in hybrid at arm's length on the bottom lane, but keep your eye over there. Nappa's doing whatever they can, and Aatrox is not built for this, as instantly chucked away. We're into the Elder fight. If Rascal Jester can pull CGA out here, they can TP back into the base.
They could indeed. And we do see Syndra still lurking around. It is a 4 versus 5 right now. No, sorry, 4 versus 4. Assault isn't there just yet. And Dragon is going pretty low. 5,000 halfway down. They might go for the smite. 2,000 on the Dragon. It's going to go pretty low. But there is the ultimate from Renata. Also take over, turning this one around. But it's still pretty low. It's going to be taken by Hachimecha. They do claim this. Rascal Jesters will claim the fight as well. Absolutely slaying out the side of CJ as Kaito stepping forward here, but is going to have to go golden, is immediately going to be removed from the game, and that is a bit of a shame. It's going to be the end of this one as they run to take this Nexus.
I won't say it came down to a smite fight, but damn, CGA made it look close at the very end there. If it goes in their favor, who knows what happens, but it doesn't matter. That's all theoretical. Rascal Jester taking himself up to a 10-win streak. absolute insanity. They're chasing after DFM's record. You can call it whatever you want, but they are doing a hell of a good job in this end of the split.
No, they are indeed. Will they be able to catch the record? I'm not sure. I think it was day.
Mathematically, they can. It was 13, I think, was the total number. Obviously, it was a shorter split last time around, so DFM didn't get the chance to throttle the competition a third time around.
Well, we'll talk about this all in a little bit more in the breakdown, but we are going to go to a quick break. We'll come back with Temporal to let you know all about this game and what happened.
Welcome back, LJL fans. What a game between Crest and Rascal Jesters. We were questioning whether Crest would be able to show up. Rascal Jesters also looked fantastic, but both teams putting up a big performance here in what looked to be our exciting game of the day if Crest showed up, and that they did. Melvin, they came back in terms of form. What did you look at in the early game that really set them apart?
Ooh, I would say that coming into this one, Kassin obviously was very proactive when they needed to be, especially around that bottom lane. It was the level 5 gank that really solidified for me for CGA, where I could see that this was going to be a competitive match. And then for Rascal Jester on the other side, it was less so about their individual laning, and it was more about when they started to group together, because you could see that synergy in the fights playing very well. While some of those initial plays started to go in CGA's favor, after the first time around, Rascal Jester pretty much exclusively got the better end of those trades. Really well played from Sol on this Caitlyn, even after a few slip-ups against Kaito.
I completely agree, especially the coming together, some odd movements, Kassin getting picked out by Raptors. I think it's burned into all of our retinas right now. Jariel, coming together for Rascal Jesters was the theme of the game. As soon as that Ahri was enabled, so much damage, the assassination coming through the extended fights. Any particular favorites for you in this game where Rascal Jesters came together and won a team fight?
I think some of their later team fights were much better. I think the Elder Dragon was actually one of the best team fights for them, because they actually got the hostile takeover to catch multiple people. They were able to really use that to kind of have a bit of a wombo combo. Obviously, it was a 4 versus 5. Syndra wasn't in that fight, but To me, I'm not going to lie, Rascal Jester's kind of had a bit of a solo queue moment this game. It felt like they had good early game, then decided to just YOLO play on their own. Obviously, that doesn't work. Someone probably typed in chat, okay, guys, let's play as a 5. And then when they did, they just won the game pretty easily.
You mentioned the Renata, this new champion, new pick. It can be so exciting sometimes. But Melvin, I think between the three of us, we reached a consensus. Not convinced this game with the Renata Glask.
I think she is a very good situational pick. And one of the main situations when she's very good is things like the Tryndamere in the top lane. She's extremely good at shutting down those auto-attack carries. This game, there was not that. Aatrox, Lee Sin, Syndra, and Nautilus, pitiful auto-attack damage. The only thing that I didn't even get to see if it worked was that Nautilus interaction with the passive. I really want to find that out in this game. I'm going to have to check that in practice tool later. And the worst part was the only person that did auto took cleanse specifically to avoid it. So this game, completely worthless pick for the ultimate, at least for the purpose as intended. Worked as a good zoner. Didn't really get much value from the bailout either. So yeah, I'm not sold on it here. I think it needs a lot more ifs and buts to be built around it for it to be a great pick.
We did see the steroid once or twice, but you're right. You don't pick a champion for a 20-second get some attack speed bonus. Nunu, long gone from the support role, who would arguably do the same thing better. Maybe Rascal Jesters will take this data onwards as they continue their upswing in our third round robin. That is their 9th win in a row. J-Real, we've seen a pretty disappointing CGA here today. They came back and it looked better. What do you think they need to do to recreate this performance, maybe against a weaker side than currently our strongest performing team?
Yeah, I think that they were a bit unfortunate because I think Rascal Jesters, like, they kind of stat check you in terms of just their good players, like, because I feel like they didn't necessarily play quote unquote better than CGA in terms of their macro, but in just the team fighting and just the level of just we're good players, they just were able to kind of cover up some of the mistakes that they made. Like, I do think they were a little bit sloppy. And obviously, I think the biggest thing for me from CGA is stop overcommitting. You know, there was like multiple times where they just went way too far. And it was almost like one person was like, I'm going in. And the rest of the team were like, what? Like, what's happening here? like the flash from Nemo on the hook. Obviously, if the hook had landed, maybe that changes things. But so far away from the team, the Lee Sin around Raptors as well. And then I don't know if this was the same, but the CB from Aatrox was a little bit like, wait, what's happening?
I'll excuse that one. That one, I understood the intent. That was the one time where I was like, that was Rascal Jester playing well, not whatever on earth was happening in the CGA camp.
A bit of Lee syndrome for Crest Gaming Act. So J-Real wants to see them come together and be more decisive on their engages. That's not necessarily taking them forwards, but taking the right ones and not forcing the overcommit on the way out. Congratulations, Rascal Jester. They continue to race up in our standings, and with not many games to go, every win counts. We're going to kick it to a quick break. We'll be back with our favorite bottom of the table matchup. It blends minds, it blends the understanding of League of Legends. The SoftBank Hawks versus V3 is coming up just after this break.